Welcome to the Across the Bar podcast, where we talk about why today's headlines are important for your success at work. I'm Peter Rahbar, and I'm your first call for legal issues.
And I'm Laura Brounstein, your first call for comms issues and anything to do with magazines, which Peter is also an expert on, given we both worked at Hearst. I think between the two of us, we've worked with every magazine company. So we need to get to the big news of the week in magazine land. There's big news at Vogue. Big news at Vogue. New editorial director. Are
Okay.
you excited about the news, Peter, about Vogue?
Yes, I mean, if you're excited, I'm excited. I'm happy to announce to our viewers that neither one of us was selected. So this podcast will go on.
Yes, that is good. But I got to work with Chloe some last summer when I was on the campaign because she was the editor for Vogue.com. And she was just so good to work with and so impressive. Like such good news instincts and commercial instincts. And,
She's
got a speed
Candace
to her.
Bergen's daughter. Is that right?
Correct? And
Yeah.
Louis Malle.
Wow.
So, and I love that her interview in the Times, she was like, yeah, I'm privileged, but I worked really hard. Like she just called it for what it was.
So tell us, Laura, you're the comms expert here. This succession story has been going on and search for a couple months now, and it was announced today. It was leaked yesterday by our friends at
Lauren
Huck.
Sherman.
When does the corporate comms person reach out to the New York Times to set up this profile, and how does that happen? Just in a nutshell.
I think probably everybody made it very clear that they wanted to be the one to break the story. And I think it was probably never a question that it would be actually officially broken in the New York Times. And I think Anna, or the person that works for Anna Wintour, just makes a call and says, we're ready to announce and give you the exclusive. Obviously, we're going to do it the first day after Labor Day. That is very typical magazine world stuff. Peter, you know that. They like to get rid of people before Labor Day and bring on new people after Labor Day, just in time for fashion.
Yeah. So they probably, like a week, 2 weeks ago?
Actually, in this case, it could have just been an assurance that early on that you are that we will probably go with you. And then I would imagine about 3 weeks ago, 3 to 4 weeks ago.
And at this point, this is the only job in magazine world that would merit this kind of coverage, right? I mean, is maybe New York Times editor. I mean, that's not magazine.
I don't know.
But,
I think in magazine world, for it to get this much attention, yes. It's probably just Vogue at this point because Anna is a myth of her own. It's a double myth, which makes it kind of even a bigger deal. And while there are other magazines or media properties that might even be more well-read or more influential, she is the name that most Americans know. Like if you had to ask any American for the name of somebody that works in magazines, they might know her name. They're not going to know any other name.
Right. And Anna Wintour now can focus on the second week of the U.S. Open. So she's chosen her U.S. successor.
Yes. I mean, obviously, after saying, well, I know who Anna Wintour is, they say, didn't the host of Across the Bar used to work at Hearst?
That's right.
Most Americans would say, I think.
Of course.
Yeah. All right.
So what else are we going to talk about today? Now that we got into the big important
news. My phone was blowing up last night about Trump. So we need to talk about that.
Shocker.
Then we need to talk about burner phones. And I would invest in burner phones right now. This is not a stock tip. I don't know anything. And then we're going to talk about a French CEO that had a mishap and got let go. And lastly, bad things happening the day after Labor Day to federal unions. So, Peter, my phone was blowing up last night with people talking about where Trump is, if he is okay, what the truth is, showing that all of those pictures of him golfing were faked. What's up? I know he's talking now at 2:00 today, supposedly.
Maybe. There's a lot of rumors about what he's talking about today, just like there were rumors about his health this weekend. We're not talking about it for political purposes. And obviously, we're not rooting for anyone to have a health issue, but we are talking about leadership, and we are talking about someone who is present and generally present and talking 24 hours a day on most days and making appearances every day. And then all of a sudden he's not. And that's going to raise questions, whether you're the president of the United States breaking from your normal pattern of communication or a corporate CEO.
Isn't it amazing how much, like, you to your point, if you break people are used to seeing him talking. When we don't for a few days, everybody's, like, spidey senses go off.
Right. I mean, I'm sure like there's a lot of people just like me who wish he would stop talking on certain days and wish we
Yes.
could go back to having a president who we talked about once a week. But that's not his pattern. That's not who he is.
Yeah.
And the fact that he disappeared is, something that he should be held accountable for. Where were
Also,
you?
they
What happened?
clearly faked pictures. I mean, I don't think there is any doubt that 2 of the pictures they shared of him golfing had been doctored. So, what? That's terrible.
Right. And
That
I,
really makes it look like you're trying to cover something up, doesn't it?
Potentially, and to the extent that his predecessor was questioned over health issues, I think a normal question to ask in this, or a thing to ask for in this situation as well. You made an issue of your predecessor's health issues. What Talk to us about yours, and that would be normal to ask. Now,
Yeah.
normally in a corporate setting, it
Jake
would not.
Tapper. Hello. Alex Thompson.
Yeah.
Hello.
I mean, normally in a corporate setting, it would not be normal or acceptable to talk about an executive's health issues openly and publicly. I've heard some rumors over the past months over, people's concerns about their, CEO's health issues or whatever. I mean, that's not
Well,
something
it
that's
is
discussed in a
normal
corporate setting.
for quarterly reports or earnings calls to talk about the CEO if they are a factor in the stock price. Like Elon is certainly like seen as a uncertain factor to his stock prices, right?
Sure. I mean, there is a materiality standard that would apply to those kind of statements. I think there's very few CEOs that would apply to. I mean, Elon Musk is definitely one of them. I mean, most
Hmm.
CEOs are viewed as replaceable. There's
Who are the not like Jamie Dimon? Well, that's if he named a
Jamie
successor,
Dimon's replaceable for
it
sure.
would get just as much buzz as Anna Wintour, don't you think?
If Jamie Dimon
Hmm.
resigned,
Hmm.
sure, in certain sectors of the world, it definitely would.
We would be interested.
Would I be interested? Yeah,
We
sure.
would be. Yeah, we won't talk about it.
Yeah, we would. Maybe then he would agree to come on the show after he
Sure.
stepped
Sure.
down.
Yeah. 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 David Solomon.
Or maybe we could get him to DJ our launch party, David
That's where I was
Solomon.
heading. That's where I was
Yeah,
heading. How did you know?
yeah. Well,
Um,
we're like right here with each other.
yeah, I am so concerned about the Axis of Evil summit going on right now in China. Are you?
It is quite striking. And I was reading, there was a piece in the Times over how we've alienated India over the past few weeks
Well,
and months.
claiming that he like created peace between India and Pakistan. Modi is like, slow your roll there, buddy.
Right. I mean, and look, Modi has leverage that most American CEOs don't have in their discussions with the president. I mean, he lies all the time about the actions he takes to help companies, and they just stand there and nod their heads or give him gold trophies. President of a major country like India, major economic power, like they can take different steps, like go to a summit with Putin and the leader of China.
Did it
So,
also strike you seeing the images of Xi, Modi, and Putin together, how kind of A, chummy they looked, and B, how spry they all three looked? Like, they looked spry. Like, they looked like people who could sit up, get out of a chair, and sit back down very
well,
easily.
Putin's a guy who rides around, bare chested on a horse. So
Yeah.
are you surprised? But yeah, the chumminess was striking. I mean, that's actually exactly what I noted, and people should be concerned about. I mean, they really should be. Again, let's add it to the list of things people should be concerned about because they should.
Okay. I have a long list.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, right around when Trump came into office, a group of friends of mine were all talking about the fact that they were going to start using burner phones when they went in and out of the country because we started seeing reports that Border Control is looking at people's phones. That started really early on in February, maybe. Tell me the story that you saw so interesting about the new group of people using burner phones.
Well, Laura, here on Across the Bar, we like to give people a heads up on things before they become stories, right? So, in conversations I've had over the past couple of weeks, whether they be at dinners or cocktail parties or drinks or beach
Oh,
barbecues,
you're very social.
August is a great time to be social, by the way. I've heard a number of stories now about companies who are advising their executives who are foreign based executives to use burner phones when they come to the United States. Now, you may remember, and certainly you've talked about friends just concerned about social media or whatever. These are companies telling their executives that
But you
you
know
need to
what?
be
It's smart.
concerned with. Well, it's smart in the same way that, when I was a corporate lawyer, I used to give advice to executives to use burner phones when they went to Russia or China. And it's unbelievable to think that people are now saying the same things about the US.
It really is.
But certainly, we've talked about it before on this podcast, early days, about, what steps you should take in the airport and what rights TSA has to ask you about your phones. And it's something to think about, and companies are
Do they
thinking.
have a right? Let's review. Do they have a, if I am, going out of the country, coming back in, would they have the right to look through my phone?
They do have more rights than the police would on the street. So they can certainly tell you to unlock your phone and go to certain accounts, and they can make you wait there until you choose
What could I
to comply.
say unless you have a warrant? No, you are not looking at this.
Well, there have been some cases, of documents protected by attorney-client privilege and things like that. I mean, those have been successful challenges to this.
But they're allowed to search your phone with no cause.
That's right. I mean, it's a very enhanced security setting at an airport
But
or a
if
border.
I was walking down 9th Street and a police officer stopped me, they wouldn't have the right to just look at my
No,
phone, right?
no,
If
no.
I was in DC and a National Guard person stopped me, neither would they, right? It's just the
Correct.
heightened security atmosphere of the airport.
Yeah,
Interesting.
special rules. So, the one thing you can do is put your phone on airplane mode before you go through customs, and that way at least it doesn't update. They apparently can't tell you to take it out of airplane mode and connect. So,
That's interesting.
yeah,
That's a good tip.
there
Put
you
your
go.
phone on airplane mode
Helping
when you go
people
through
out.
customs.
May slow down your Uber call, but it may help you get through customs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these days at JFK, it's going to take you probably an hour
Good
to walk
luck.
there. JFK, you suck right now.
Look, the
Sorry.
hack is to take the air train to Jamaica or the stop before it, and then take your Uber from there. It'll save you about 2 hours.
Have you
There
been
you go.
talking to my boyfriend who tries to convince me to take public transportation back and forth to the airport?
I didn't say take it all the way back and forth. I said take it through the hellish part.
All
Yeah.
right.
You
It's
haven't you
terrible.
haven't had much exposure to someone called Airport Pete. Airport Pete is a totally certain separate person from your podcast co-host. Has a whole different way of
Oh, are
operating.
you okay? Are you get there early or get there with no time to spare?
I get there early. I'm in the lounge. I'm living it up without stress.
Are you strict until you get there?
I am the strictest person you'll ever meet on the way to an airport or leaving a sporting event or leaving a concert,
You're militant. You're like, here is the
Yes.
plan. How long did it take you to get home from MSG last night?
Well, I was at Giants Stadium and
Okay.
it took a long time. But that was out of my control. I did everything I could to be efficient about it.
Okay. So my boyfriend is a get to the airport last minute person, faux show, and it definitely rubs off on me. But then you're like, that feeling of like, please go faster. I'm going to miss my flight is so bad.
Well, when we do our podcast tour, we'll have to travel separately because I cannot tolerate that at all. Sorry.
Something not fun, but sort of fun. So I follow obviously a lot of terrible things on Instagram. One of them has like old commercials, and it had an ad for when Nestle had white chocolate in the 80s. And it was like Nestles.
Right.
And it was like white night. It was like women dancing and like white scarves. Anyway,
Yeah.
it was very
Very
dramatic,
fancy.
very 80s. What?
It was very fancy and
Do you remember that
aspirational.
ad? And
Yeah, of course.
it was very like These Dreams from Heart was the energy, which is a
Right.
great song.
Well, I was a consumer of Nestle Quick, strawberry Quick. So that's the opposite end of the Nestle's.
Strawberry more than chocolate.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. Probably because it had more sugar.
My parents were willing to do almost anything to get me to drink milk as a kid. And so there
Right.
was definitely, I think we had every flavor.
Right. Right.
So we always talk about how, Americans, we're so straight laced. The French are so cool about things. Not true, learned the CEO of Nestle. Can you talk about that story?
Yeah. Well, we just learned yesterday that the recently appointed CEO of Nestle has been terminated for cause because of a direct relationship with one of his subordinates that was not disclosed. So
Consensual.
look, as we've discussed on prior episodes, I don't think CEOs can have consensual relationships with subordinates or really
One
anyone
should
in
leave,
there.
you're saying.
Yeah, because the CEO just has too much power.
Hmm.
Um,
But also,
yes.
if you disclose, like, if he had disclosed it, what would have happened?
Well, that's a good question, and that's one wrinkle here, and that's something one of our listeners asked me to address in this episode. Is would he have been okay if he disclosed it versus not disclosing it? I don't know. I don't think a CEO would be okay. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be okay even if he disclosed it,
What if
given
he
that
disclosed it and said, and, she'll leave within 6 months, like, we're making a plan? I don't know. I feel like there would be a way to do it respectfully and salvage things. No?
he could have tried. I don't think it would have been successful given that it was a subordinate. And also here, it seems like there was an element of deception. There was several investigations, which means he was asked about it and which means that
And
he
denied it?
probably denied it. So I don't know if the disclosure here had to do with him denying it previously and therefore lying, or just not telling anyone and never. I can't imagine he was never asked because the company did investigate it several times. Now, going back to the original question, I don't think a CEO can stay in power if they have a relationship with a direct subordinate, disclosed or not. Other executives, maybe a different story. You can disclose a relationship if it's not someone who reports to you and you're an executive in the C-suite, you should disclose it. Absolutely. But hiding it is definitely going to put you in a very bad spot.
And lying. It's always, I feel like so often we see cases, and as the lawyer, you can speak to this, where it's not the action, it's lying about the action that
Sure.
gets somebody in trouble.
The cover up. The
Yeah,
cover up. Absolutely.
not the
And
crime.
here I think there's also legitimate questions about what kind of like process the company ran to appoint this guy a year ago and not flag this relationship somehow. So we'll see
Oh, it
what
was
happens.
going on even then? I didn't realize that.
Yeah. I mean, it's he's a recently appointed CEO.
But the relationship was going on even before he was appointed.
And apparently there were concerns raised back then during the selection process, and they were
Hmm,
raised repeatedly. And the company finally hired an outside investigator who it seems found evidence of the relationship.
that
Very
is
tricky.
impressive. I hope the woman involved has her own lawyer. Ladies, men, get your own lawyer. Never
Well, we,
trust the
we
other
don't know if
person.
anything's happened to her. I mean, for all we know, she still has her job. But
But she should. Would you agree? Always have your own lawyer.
yeah, we talked about that,
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. Absolutely,
Like,
she should have
don't
her own lawyer,
rely on the company's lawyer or my boyfriend's lawyer.
especially in a relationship situation. You should not at all.
Have your own lawyer.
Exactly.
My goodness. The last topic is, it's yesterday was Labor Day. I did a shout out on Threads to the Campaign Workers Guild, which I was a member of during the campaign. And it was my first time being in a union, and it was a good experience. But it seems that that is under fire right now for federal workers, the idea of being in a union, which is a constitutional right, isn't it? Talk about this.
Well, it's certainly under fire. So I'll take this in a couple pieces. Over the weekend, there were actions taken to finalize, basically terminating union contracts for over 400,000 federal workers. And the justification was that the
White
workers
collar, blue collar, like some of everything.
some of everything, but the justification was national security, that these jobs, the union contracts were interfering with national security concerns, which a lot of people have said is BS.
That seems like bullshit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And the bigger picture, and of course, happening right before Labor Day sends a pretty strong message to organized labor. The bigger picture is,
Good
although
job,
this
guys, backing this guy.
yeah, I mean, this administration campaigned on being supportive of workers' rights and courted
Which they
union
never were,
support.
which is insane. Another way we dropped the ball. Anyway,
Yeah, courted labor unions and got some key endorsements and has really been an enemy of organized labor. And so this is one very obvious way they have been. They've also taken actions to basically dismantle the NLRB or neuter it. And this is sending a message to corporate America saying this administration is not going to stop you if you want to, take hostile actions towards unions. I mean, that's the bottom line. So
That is
happy
very
Labor
bad.
Day for
But
all.
the unions, I would assume, are going to push back, and there are protections that they can. They have like legs to stand on to push back on this, right?
They're going to try. Again, the government unions, it's a little different circumstance. I mean, they'll certainly go right at, whether there's national security justifications for all these, these contracts being terminated, and maybe some there are, maybe some there aren't. So, but the net effect is pretty negative. It's corporate leaders look at this and they take lessons from it. I mean, and
Yes.
and small businesses will go right after
They'll see
unions.
this and say, "Oh, we don't need to have a union either."
Right. Or we could be more aggressive in fighting it. This administration is going to stand behind us. So, and that's bad news for workers in
It
general. I
is.
mean,
All
I've
right.
spent a good chunk of my career negotiating against unions, but doesn't mean I don't respect them and understand, their role and believe that they can be positive.
Well, Hearst is kind of famously anti-union. They wrote a
Well,
whole musical about it
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say
back
that.
in the day.
I wouldn't say that. I mean,
You wouldn't say William Randolph Hearst back in the day was anti-union?
well, but he also voluntarily recognized a lot of unions in certain units. So, I mean, look,
Wasn't Newsies
most
an
companies
entire
are
musical
anti-union. Most
about
companies,
William Randolph Hearst fighting the union?
yeah. I mean, but you can find that about every executive.
You
Like
can find popular Broadway musicals written about
Broadway musicals, sure, no, not every executive, no.
movies. Not so many have classic movies made about them.
But most corporate executives, if you took them off the record, they would say they would wish unions didn't exist. I would just tell you that.
Probably. All right, I'm gonna do my zero. Let's do heroes and zeros.
Right. And we have to go zeros first.
Zeros first, because we
Can't
end on
wait
a
to
happy
hear.
note. I went on News Nation last night. Shout out to the nice people there. To talk about Kristi Noem saying that CBS News edited substantive points out of her interview, which was 16 minutes. And the section on CBS was obviously only a 4-minute segment. Obviously, they were going to edit things from a 16-minute interview, but she made a whole thing that they were being biased and trying to take important parts out of what she said. This is problematic for so many reasons. A, authoritarian playbook. One of the basic things is instill distrust in the news media so people don't know who to listen to. B, everything she was saying that they cut out were the unsubstantiated accusations against Kilmar Abrego. And they cut out everything that she was saying about, like, he's a smuggler, he's a gang member. None of these things have ever been proven. And it was shocking to me when I went on TV last night to talk about this. The other person was saying, they cut important facts out. I'm like, no, they cut unsubstantiated lies out. So that is my big zero.
Well, and also it's a good one. Also, the real question is, so what? They're allowed to edit interviews as long as it
Exactly.
doesn't
It was
become
16
something
minutes long.
false.
What did they think was going to happen?
I mean, it's a bullshit claim. It's not a real claim.
But
And
it does damage.
unfortunately, CBS capitulated to that claim by the
Open the
president
door.
and opened the door. But it's not a real claim. They wouldn't have won.
And I said on air last night, the host was like, CBS already had to pay $16 million or whatever it was. And I was like, and then the Paramount merger went through. Look at that.
Right.
And the host was like,
Maybe related, maybe not.
it could be. Only Sherry Redstone knows.
Yeah. So
right.
my zero has an asterisk because my zero is the guy at the U.S. Open who's a CEO of a Polish company who basically stole a hat from a kid.
He's destroyed because he stole a hat.
Yeah, so
don't be an asshole.
A tennis player was giving his sweaty hat to a kid, and this guy, adult man CEO, snatched it, away, and everybody just saw the video and was like appalled. And by the way, credit to the player who found the kid and like gave him a hat and took a picture with him. Very cool.
Did the guy apologize ever?
Well, what was funny is first this like apology came out, but it was totally fake. And then I read the real apology this morning and it was actually quite nice. Now he claims he was taking the hat for his kid and giving it to him. Now, I would just say, as someone who attends a lot of sporting events, like, that doesn't fly. Like, your kids got to get it themselves. If you're standing next to a little kid, you catch a foul ball.
Like the kid had it in his hand, if I remember, if I
Yeah.
saw the video correctly, and he literally
Yeah.
pulled it out of
Oh,
the kid's hand.
yeah. So whatever. I still don't buy the excuse.
My bad.
Shame on that guy. And by the
I
way,
know.
if you're a CEO, you should not be acting that way in public. Period. It will get flagged. I mean, we just saw it with the
Don't be
Coldplay
bratty.
concert. We just saw it here. I mean, come on, send your
Huh.
kid up.
All right,
He
what's
should
your
have been in
hero?
his seat drinking a honeydeuce while his kid was getting the hat.
I would like a honeydeuce. Have you had a honeydeuce? They sound very good.
They're delicious. It's a great drink. It's a great deal. And it's perfectly garnished with 3 melon balls, not 2, as we've discussed on this podcast.
Yes. All right, what's your hero?
My hero is Oasis. I saw them last night at Giant Stadium, so you probably knew this was coming. I'm glad the brothers straightened out their differences, got together. It was like an incredible show, very good vibes in the crowd, and people were excited to be there. The hype was like off the charts, and they exceeded it somehow. So I thought it was great. They'll be in LA. If you're a listener in LA, go see them, Mexico City, and then I think they're headed to Asia.
You know, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I got to see the Who at Jones Beach last week. I'm not even the biggest Who fan,
Mm-hmm.
but there's something that does feel so good about being in community with other people enjoying something together that we don't have enough of right now,
Yeah.
don't you think?
Yeah, and the crowd, spanned generations. It wasn't just Gen Xers. I mean, there was kids there. There were people my age there. It was very cool. People were singing every word and standing the whole time. I mean, it's wild.
I love that.
Yeah,
And their voices still held up. I was really impressed with the
incredible,
Who, how good their voices still were.
incredible. I mean, the Who's a little more advanced in age. These guys
Yeah.
still had
I
a lot
mean,
of
that
fuel in the
they're
tank.
like 79 years old, I think, Roger Daltrey, something like
Yeah,
that, and was belting. I was so
up
impressed.
there.
Yes, and I am just gonna say happy September. I love fall. There is nothing like September through December in New York City. It's
Agree.
so beautiful. It's so like game on feeling. So game on, everyone.
Yeah. Hit the ground running. Get off to a
Yeah.
good start. It's a great month, and I'm glad we got it off to a good start here. So thanks.
Yes. I want to remind everyone while we are on all the podcast platforms, we are also on YouTube. And then you can see us roll our eyes at each other and all those kinds of fun things if you watch us on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, and definitely subscribe and rate and share with your friends.
Goodbye.
All right,
Bye,
great
Peter.
talking to you, Laura. See you next week.